The photograph shouldn't have been there. Emma traced her finger along the jagged edge, feeling the rough tear that split the image in half. In the picture, she was laughing, head thrown back, eyes crinkled with joy she couldn't remember feeling. A man's arm wrapped around her shoulders, but the rest of him was gone, torn away. Only his hand remained visible, strong fingers resting protectively on her upper arm. She didn't recognize herself in that photograph. Not really. The woman in the picture had light in her eyes that Emma hadn't seen in her own reflection for 2 years. The envelope had arrived that morning with no return address. Inside, just this torn half of a photograph and a small note in unfamiliar handwriting. "You deserve to remember." Emma set the photo down on her darkroom table, her hands trembling slightly. Outside, New York City hummed with its usual cacophony, but inside her studio apartment, silence pressed against her ears like water. She had lost 8 months of her life. The doctors called it retrograde amnesia, a consequence of the car accident that had left her in a coma for 3 weeks. When she'd finally opened her eyes in that sterile hospital room, those 8 months had simply vanished, erased as cleanly as if they'd never existed. Her therapist said the memories might return gradually, or they might be gone forever. Emma had learned to live with the gaps. She'd rebuilt her photography business from client lists and old emails. She'd relearned her routines, her favorite coffee shop, her preferred walking routes. But there had always been this nagging sense that something important was missing, something more than just time. Now, staring at this photograph, she knew what it was. Someone. The next morning, Emma did what any photographer would do. She scanned the torn photograph with her professional equipment, enhancing the details, zooming in on every pixel. The background showed a small beach at sunset, distinctive rock formations jutting from the sand. The man's hand on her shoulder wore a simple silver ring on the middle finger, unusual, distinctive. She posted the landscape details on a photography forum, asking if anyone recognized the location. Within hours, she had her answer: Lighthouse Beach, a secluded spot about 2 hours north of the city. Emma grabbed her camera bag and keys, but as she reached for the door, her phone buzzed. Her older sister, Claire. "Hey, I was just thinking about you." Claire's voice came through a bit too bright. "Want to grab lunch today?" "Can't. I'm driving up the coast." A pause. "Why?" Emma hesitated. She and Claire had been close before the accident, but since waking up there'd been this strange distance between them. Claire was always watching her with worried eyes, always asking if she was okay, if she was remembering anything. "Just a photography trip," Emma said finally. "Emma," Claire's voice took on an edge of concern. "Is this about... Are you chasing something again?" "What do you mean, again?" Another pause, longer this time. "Nothing." "Never mind. Just... Be careful, okay? Call me when you get back." The line went dead before Emma could respond. Lighthouse Beach was exactly as it appeared in the photograph. The same dramatic rocks, the same sweep of grey sand, the same weathered lighthouse standing sentinel on the northern point. Emma parked in the small lot and walked down to the shore, her camera hanging around her neck, more from habit than intention. The beach was nearly empty. An elderly man walked a golden retriever in the distance. A couple spread a blanket near the water's edge. Emma walked to where the rocks created a natural alcove, the same spot where she'd stood in the photograph, and waited. For what, she didn't know. "You came back." Emma spun around. A woman in her 60s stood behind her, wearing a canvas jacket and carrying a metal detector. Her weathered face broke into a gentle smile. "I'm sorry," Emma said. "You used to come here all the time." "Last summer." "Always with that camera, always taking pictures of the sunset." The woman's smile faded slightly. "Until you stopped coming." Emma's heart hammered against her ribs. Was I alone?" The woman's eyes grew sad. "No, honey. You weren't alone." "Who was I with?" But the woman was already shaking her head, backing away. "I shouldn't have said anything. Forget I mentioned it." She turned and walked quickly down the beach, her metal detector swinging forgotten at her side. Emma started to follow, but her phone rang. An unknown number. "Hello." Silence, then breathing. "Who is this?" Emma demanded. "Stop looking." The voice was male, muffled, deliberately disguised. "Let it go, Emma. For your own good." The line went dead. Emma stood on the beach, ice spreading through her veins despite the warm sun. Someone was watching her. Someone knew she was here. Someone didn't want her to remember. Back in the city, Emma locked her apartment door and wedged a chair under the handle. Her hands shook as she made tea, the threatening phone call echoing in her mind. She'd reported it to the police, but they'd been dismissive. Probably a prank, they said, nothing to worry about. But Emma was worried. She pulled out the photograph again, studying it obsessively. There had to be other clues. The lighting suggested late afternoon. She was wearing a blue sundress she no longer owned. The man's hand, she zoomed in again on the silver ring. There was an inscription inside the band, barely visible. She enhanced the image until she could make out 2 letters, E.M., her initials. The ring had been meant for her. Emma's laptop chimed. An email from her photography website's contact form, sent just minutes ago. No name, just a message. "Check the hospital records from your accident. Ask them who visited you." Her pulse racing, Emma called the hospital. After being transferred 3 times, she finally reached someone in patient records. "I need to know who visited me when I was admitted 2 years ago, March 15th through April 5th. I'll need to pull the records. Can I call you back?" "I'll wait." 20 agonizing minutes later, the woman returned. "Okay, I have the visitor log. Your sister Claire came every day. Your father came twice. And there's one more name that appears repeatedly. Someone named Daniel Hart. He was there almost as often as your sister." "Daniel Hart," Emma repeated, writing it down. "Did he leave a contact number?" "No, I'm sorry. Just the name in the visitor log." Emma hung up and immediately searched for Daniel Hart in New York. Thousands of results. She narrowed it down. Daniel Hart photographer, Daniel Hart artist, Daniel Hart and Emma Morrison. Nothing useful. But then she remembered something. After the accident, when she'd come home from the hospital, her apartment had been cleaned, reorganized. At the time, she'd assumed Claire had done it. But now she wondered, what if someone had gone through her things? What if they'd removed traces of Daniel Hart? Emma began searching her apartment systematically. She pulled out photo albums, rifled through drawers, checked every corner of her closets. Most of her photographs from before the accident were organized chronologically, but there was a gap, a missing album that should have covered last summer. In the back of her closet, behind a box of old camera equipment, her fingers brushed against something wedged between the wall and the floorboard. She pulled it out, a small notebook, water-damaged and curled at the edges. Her handwriting filled the pages. A journal. Emma's hands trembled as she opened it. The entry started in May, a year before her accident, but many pages had been torn out. The remaining entries were fragments. June 3rd, met someone today at the gallery opening. Photographer like me, Daniel. There's something about his eyes. June 20th, 3rd date. I think I'm falling. July 15th. He took me to this beach, Lighthouse Beach. I've never felt this way before. It's terrifying and wonderful. The next entry was heavily water damaged, almost illegible. August 2nd. Can't tell her yet. Claire would dangerous if she knew. Daniel says we have to be careful. The rest was unreadable. Several more pages had been torn out entirely. Then, near the end, August 30th. I'm scared. Someone's been following us. Daniel thinks but that's impossible. No one would. That was the last entry. A week before her accident. Emma sat back against the wall, the journal clutched to her chest. The pieces were forming a picture she didn't want to see. Daniel Hart. Her sister Claire's strange behavior. The warning phone call. The torn photograph. What had happened last summer? Emma's phone rang, making her jump. Another unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her press accept. Emma Morrison? A woman's voice, professional, clipped. Yes. My name is Detective Sarah Chen. I'm with the NYPD. I understand you filed a harassment report earlier today. Yes, about a phone call. I'd like to talk to you about that. But there's something else. Can you come to the station? There's been a development in your accident case. Emma's stomach dropped. What kind of development? I'd rather discuss it in person. Can you come in tomorrow morning? Say 10 o'clock? My accident was 2 years ago. What could possibly... Tomorrow at 10, Miss Morrison. Trust me, you'll want to hear this. Emma barely slept that night. She lay in bed, staring at the torn photograph propped on her nightstand, trying to will the memories back, but there was only darkness where those 8 months should have been. At dawn, she gave up on sleep and went for a run. The city was just waking up, delivery trucks rumbling through empty streets, shopkeepers rolling up their gates. As Emma rounded the corner near her favorite coffee shop, she saw someone standing across the street, watching her building. A man in a dark jacket, hood pulled up despite the warm morning. When he saw her looking, he turned and walked away quickly. Emma started to follow, but he disappeared into a crowd of commuters emerging from the subway. Her hands were shaking when she arrived at the police station at 10 o'clock. Detective Chen was younger than Emma had expected, maybe 40, with sharp eyes that seemed to miss nothing. "Thank you for coming in," Chen said, leading Emma to a small interview room. "I'll get right to it. We've been reviewing your accident case as part of a larger investigation." "What kind of investigation?" Chen opened a file folder. "Do you remember anything about the night of your accident?" "No, nothing from that entire time period." "You were driving alone on Route 9A at approximately 11:30 p.m. Your car went off the road and hit a tree. Do you know where you were going?" "I don't remember." "According to your phone records, you received a call about 15 minutes before the accident, from a prepaid phone that we've never been able to trace. The call lasted 3 minutes. Chen leaned forward. "After that call, you got in your car and drove. Fast. The accident reconstruction team believes you were driving at least 20 miles over the speed limit when you lost control." Emma felt cold. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying it might not have been an accident. Someone might have called to lure you out that night. Someone might have wanted you on that road." "That's insane." "Is it?" Chen slid a photograph across the table. A man, maybe 35, with dark hair and intense eyes. Handsome, with a gentle smile. "Do you recognize this man?" Emma stared at the photo. Deep in her mind, something stirred. A flicker of recognition, a whisper of emotion. "No, I mean, maybe. I don't know. His name is Daniel Hart. He filed a missing persons report 3 days after your accident. He was looking for you." "He visited me in the hospital," Emma said. "I found the visitor logs." Chen nodded. "He did, every day until your sister had him removed from the list." Emma's head snapped up. "Claire did what?" "Your sister filed a restraining order against Daniel Hart while you were still in a coma, claimed he was dangerous, that he'd been stalking you. After that, he wasn't allowed near you." "But that doesn't make sense. We were—" Emma stopped, remembering the journal entries. "We were together. I was in love with him." "Were you?" Chen's expression was skeptical. "Or did he convince you that you were?" "What?" The detective pulled out another document. "Daniel Hart has a history. He was investigated 8 years ago in connection with another woman's death. Lisa Warren, age 31, photographer, fell from her balcony. They ruled it a suicide, but there were questions. Daniel was her boyfriend at the time." Emma felt sick. "You think he killed her?" "I think there's a pattern. Both women were photographers. Both had relationships with Daniel Hart. Both had accidents." Chen's voice softened slightly. "Your sister might have saved your life by keeping him away from you." Emma stood abruptly. "I need to talk to Claire." "Ms. Morrison, now." Claire's art gallery was in Chelsea, a bright, minimalist space showcasing abstract paintings. Emma found her sister in the back office going through invoices. "Emma, what are you—" Claire's smile faded when she saw Emma's expression. "What's wrong?" "Daniel Hart. Tell me about Daniel Hart." All color drained from Claire's face. She closed the office door. "Who told you that name?" "It doesn't matter. Tell me the truth, all of it." Claire sank into her desk chair. For a long moment she said nothing. Then, "I was trying to protect you." "From what?" "From him. From making the same mistake again." Claire's hands twisted together. "You met Daniel at my gallery, actually, last May. He seemed nice at first. Charming, talented, attentive. You fell hard for him. I'd never seen you so happy. But something felt wrong. The way he looked at you sometimes, possessive, controlling. He started isolating you from your friends, from me. You stopped answering my calls. When I did see you, you seemed anxious, different." Claire's voice cracked. "I tried to warn you, but you wouldn't listen. You said I was jealous, that I was trying to ruin your happiness." Emma thought of the journal entry. Can't tell her yet. Claire would... Dangerous if she knew. "What happened the night of my accident?" "You called me. You were crying, panicked. You said Daniel had lied to you about something big, that you'd discovered something about him. You were going to end it. Then..." Claire's voice broke. "Then nothing. 3 hours later the hospital called. You were in a coma. So you filed the restraining order." "Of course I did. I thought he might have caused the accident somehow. The police couldn't prove anything, but I wasn't going to let him near you again." Claire grabbed Emma's hands. "When you woke up and didn't remember him, it felt like a gift, a chance for you to have your life back without him in it. That wasn't your decision to make. I know. And I'm sorry." "But Emma, he's dangerous. The police told me about Lisa Warren, I know." Emma pulled her hands away. "But I'm not a child, Claire. You should have told me. You should have let me decide. Would you have listened? You're investigating him now, aren't you? Even knowing what I just told you, you still want to find him." Claire's eyes filled with tears. "That's exactly what I was afraid of. That's why I didn't tell you. Because I knew you'd go looking for him again." Emma didn't deny it. She couldn't. Emma left the gallery with more questions than answers. If Daniel was dangerous, why did the journal entries sound so loving? Why did the photograph show her laughing, genuinely happy? Why had he looked for her after the accident? And who had sent her the torn photograph? She went back to Lighthouse Beach. The same elderly woman with the metal detector was there again, sweeping the sand near the rocks. Emma approached her directly this time. "You said I used to come here with someone. Was his name Daniel?" The woman looked up, then around nervously, as if checking to see if anyone was watching. "You should leave this alone, dear. Please, I need to know." The woman sighed. "He was here yesterday, after you left. He sat right where you were standing and cried." She met Emma's eyes. "Whatever people are telling you about that young man, I saw how he looked at you last summer. That wasn't the look of someone dangerous. That was the look of someone in love. Do you know where I can find him?" "No, but he left something. Buried it near the lighthouse. I saw him do it." Emma's heart raced. "Can you show me where?" They walked to the lighthouse together. The woman pointed to a spot near the base where the sand looked freshly disturbed. Emma dropped to her knees and dug with her hands until her fingers hit something solid, a waterproof box. Inside was a letter, a USB drive, and something wrapped in tissue paper. Emma unwrapped it with trembling fingers. The other half of the photograph. In this half, Daniel's face was visible. He was looking at her with such tenderness, such love, that Emma felt tears spring to her eyes. This wasn't the face of a dangerous man. This was the face of someone who adored her. She opened the letter. Daniel's handwriting, she somehow knew it was his, was neat and careful. "Emma, if you're reading this, it means you found my message. It means you're looking for the truth, despite what everyone has told you about me. The USB drive contains proof of what really happened last summer. Not my version, actual proof. Security footage, emails, everything. I'm leaving it here because I can't come to you directly. Your sister has made sure of that. I don't blame Claire for protecting you. I even understand it. After Lisa died, I knew I'd never be able to have a normal relationship again. Everyone would always suspect me, always see me as the boyfriend who got away with murder. But I didn't kill Lisa. She had severe depression that she hid from everyone, including me. I found her suicide note months after her death, hidden in a book she loved. I gave it to the police. It should have closed the case, but people believe what they want to believe. When I met you, I thought I'd never tell you about Lisa, but you figured it out. You found old news articles. And instead of running away, instead of believing the worst, you asked me for the truth. You listened, you believed me. That's when I fell completely in love with you. The night of your accident, you discovered something else about your past, not mine, something that scared you. You called me, frantic, saying you needed to get away, needed to think. I begged you not to drive, to wait for me to come get you. But you were gone before I could reach you. I've spent 2 years blaming myself. If I'd driven faster, if I'd insisted harder, if I'd been there, the police questioned me, your sister accused me. I lost my right to even see if you were okay. All I could do was leave flowers at the hospital desk and pray that you'd survive. When you woke up without your memories, part of me was relieved. You wouldn't remember the fear, the danger, whatever truth you'd uncovered that night. But you also wouldn't remember us, wouldn't remember how we loved each other. Claire made me promise to stay away. She said it was what you'd want, that starting over without me was a gift. I tried to honor that. For 2 years I tried, but I couldn't stop loving you, Emma. And when I saw you taking photographs in the city last week, looking so lost, so alone, I couldn't stay away anymore. The USB has everything. Watch it. Then decide for yourself who to believe. If you want to find me after, I'll be at the place where we first kissed. You won't remember it, but I do. Every detail. I love you. I never stopped. Emma's hands shook as she plugged the USB into her laptop. The files were organized chronologically, starting from May of last year. The first video was security footage from Claire's gallery. Emma watched herself meet Daniel for the first time, the way she smiled at him, the way he made her laugh. Nothing about the interaction seemed forced or sinister. More footage followed. Coffee shops, parks, the beach. In every video they looked happy, natural, in love. Then came the emails. Emma read through months of correspondence between herself and Daniel, playful messages, serious conversations about art and life, late-night confessions. There was nothing controlling or manipulative in his messages. If anything, he seemed supportive of her independence, encouraging her to take assignments, praising her work. One email made Emma pause. "Danny, I need to tell you something about Claire and me, about our family. It's not something I talk about, but you should know before this goes any further. Our mother didn't die in a car accident like Claire told you. She killed herself when I was 16. Depression, they said, but I've always wondered if there was more to it. My father had affairs, was controlling, made her feel trapped. Claire took care of me after. She put her own life on hold to make sure I was okay. I owe her everything, but sometimes I think she's afraid I'll end up like Mom. That's why she's so protective, so worried about any man I date. I want her to meet you properly. I want her to see that you're different, that we're building something real and healthy. Can we have dinner with her next week? I love you, E." Emma's throat tightened. She didn't remember writing that email, didn't remember having that conversation with Daniel. But she remembered her mother's death, remembered the years of therapy, the fear that she'd inherited her mother's darkness. The next files were even more revealing. A police report that Daniel had filed after Lisa Warren's death, attaching a copy of her suicide note, medical records showing Lisa's history of depression and previous attempts, a letter from Lisa's therapist confirming that she'd been high risk. Daniel had been telling the truth about Lisa. The final video file was dated the day before Emma's accident, security footage from her own apartment building. Emma watched herself arrive home, looking upset. Minutes later, Claire arrived. The video had no audio, but Emma could see herself and Claire arguing in the hallway. Claire was gesturing frantically, clearly upset. Emma was crying, shaking her head. Then Claire grabbed Emma's phone and threw it against the wall. The video continued. Claire left. 20 minutes later, Emma's phone rang on the floor, somehow still working. Emma answered it, listened, then grabbed her keys and ran. The next file was a traffic camera from Route 9A, time-stamped an hour later. Emma's car speeding down the highway. Suddenly another car pulled out in front of her, forcing her off the road. The other car didn't stop. It drove away into the night. Emma's blood ran cold. The accident hadn't been an accident at all. Someone had run her off the road deliberately. But who and why? Her phone rang. Unknown number again. Emma almost didn't answer, but something made her. "Emma." Daniel's voice raw with emotion. "I know you found the USB. Are you okay?" "Daniel." His name felt right in her mouth, familiar somehow. "Where are you?" "The place where we first kissed. Do you remember?" "I don't remember anything from that time." "Gallery roof. Your sister's gallery. You dragged me up there after the opening because you wanted to see the city lights. We stood there for an hour, just talking. Then you kissed me." His voice was soft, full of longing. "Best moment of my life. I'm coming there now." "Emma, wait. There's something else you need to know. About that night. Tell me. The argument you had with Claire, it wasn't about me. It was about your father." Emma's heart stopped. "What about him?" "You'd discovered something. Financial records showing that he'd been stealing from your mother's trust fund, the one she'd left for you and Claire. He'd drained it completely, taken almost $1 million. You confronted him and he denied everything. Then you told Claire and she didn't believe me," Emma whispered, the memory suddenly flooding back. Not the whole 8 months, but that night, that terrible night. "She said I was trying to destroy the family, that I was being paranoid, seeing conspiracies where there were none. You called me from your apartment. You were devastated. You said you needed to get proof, needed to drive to your father's office and find the records. I told you to wait, that we'd go together in the morning, but you wouldn't wait. Someone ran me off the road. I know. I've spent 2 years trying to prove it, trying to find that other car. But your father is connected, powerful. The investigation went nowhere." Emma's mind was reeling. "Claire knew, she knew what I'd discovered, and she chose to believe your father over you. And when the accident happened, when you couldn't remember, it was easier to blame me. To make me the villain." Daniel's voice broke. "I've been so angry at her, Emma, but I also understand she lost her mother. She couldn't face losing her father, too." "Where is she now?" "At the gallery, waiting for you. I called her, told her you know everything. She wants to talk to you." Emma was already running to her car. The gallery was dark when Emma arrived. She found Claire sitting in her office, staring at a photograph on her desk. Emma recognized it. A picture of their mother, young and smiling, taken years before the darkness consumed her. "I'm sorry," Claire said without looking up. "I'm so sorry, Emma." Emma sat down across from her sister. "Did you know Dad caused the accident?" "No, God, no. I didn't find out until 6 months ago. Someone contacted me anonymously, sent me evidence." Claire finally looked up, her eyes red and swollen. "He paid someone. To scare you," he said. "Not to hurt you. Just to make you stop investigating. But it went wrong. The driver hit you too hard, sent you off the road too fast." "Jesus, Claire." "I confronted Dad. He broke down, confessed everything. The money he stole, the accident he caused. He said he panicked when you found out about the trust fund, that he couldn't let you expose him." Claire's voice was hollow. "I told him to turn himself in. He refused, so I cut him out of my life completely. I haven't spoken to him since." "But you still didn't tell me." "How could I? You didn't remember any of it. You'd built a new life without the trauma, without the pain. I thought—" Claire's voice cracked. "I thought it was better this way. Better than you knowing your own father tried to kill you. That wasn't your decision to make." Emma's anger was cold, controlled. "And Daniel? You let him take the blame for 2 years. I know, and there's no excuse. I was wrong about him, wrong about everything." Claire pulled an envelope from her desk drawer. "This came for you this morning. I almost didn't give it to you, but I'm done making decisions for you." Emma opened the envelope. Inside was a formal letter from the district attorney's office. Her father had been arrested. Multiple charges: theft, fraud, vehicular assault, attempted murder. Someone had finally brought him to justice. "Daniel?" Emma guessed. Claire nodded. "He never stopped investigating. Never stopped trying to prove what happened to you. He's the one who built the case against Dad. The evidence was overwhelming. Emma stood up, the letter trembling in her hand. I'm going to see him now. Emma! Claire stood too. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I broke your trust in ways I'll never be able to repair. But please be careful. The memories might never come back. You might never remember the love you felt for Daniel. Don't force it. Don't what? Don't give him a chance. Don't see if maybe, just maybe, I could fall in love with him again. Emma met her sister's eyes. You don't get to protect me anymore, Claire. I'm done being protected. The roof of the gallery was exactly as Daniel had described. City lights stretched out in every direction, a galaxy of human brightness against the dark sky. Daniel stood near the edge, silhouetted against the glow, holding something in his hands. He turned when he heard Emma's footsteps. Even from a distance, she could see the hope and fear warring in his expression. Hi, he said softly. Hi. They stood there, two strangers who had once been everything to each other. Emma studied his face. The same face from the photograph, the same gentle eyes, but older now, more tired. 2 years of grief had left their mark. I don't remember you, Emma said. I don't remember loving you. I don't remember that whole beautiful summer we apparently had together. Daniel nodded, jaw tight. I know. But I read my journal, watched the videos, saw how happy we were. Emma took a step closer. And I saw your letter. The way you've spent 2 years trying to find justice for me, even though I didn't remember you existed. I couldn't stop loving you, Daniel said simply. Believe me, I tried. It would have been so much easier to move on. But every time I saw a sunset, every time I saw someone taking photographs, every time I heard a laugh that sounded like yours, he stopped, voice breaking. You were everywhere, Emma. You still are. Show me, Emma said. Show me what you're holding. Daniel held out his hand. The other half of the photograph, his half, the mirror image of what Emma had received. I tore it myself. The day after your accident, when your sister banned me from the hospital. I thought if I couldn't have all of you, I'd keep the half that had your smile. But I realized that was wrong. You deserved to know the truth. You deserved to know about us. Emma pulled her half from her pocket. Daniel's hand shook as they fit the 2 pieces together, making the photograph whole again. The image complete. 2 people in love on a beach, arms around each other, laughing at some joke lost to time. I can't promise I'll fall in love with you again, Emma said. Those 8 months are gone. That version of me is gone. I know. But maybe... Emma looked up at him, saw the tears streaming down his face. Maybe I could fall in love with who you are now, with who I am now. Maybe we could build something new instead of trying to rebuild what we lost. Daniel let out a broken laugh. Is that even possible? I don't know, but I'd like to find out. Emma reached out and took his hand. The one that wore the silver ring in the photograph, the ring with her initials. He was still wearing it. After everything, he was still wearing it. If you fall in love with me again, Daniel said, squeezing her hand, then everything, all the pain, all the waiting, all the hoping, it will have been worth it. That's a lot of pressure, Emma said, but she smiled. Take your time. We have nothing but time now. They stood together on that roof, 2 halves of a torn photograph, and watched the city lights blur and dance through their tears. Below them, the world continued its frantic pace, but up here, they had found a pocket of stillness, a moment to breathe, a chance to begin again. Emma didn't remember their first kiss, the one that had happened on this roof 2 years ago. But as Daniel leaned in slowly, giving her every chance to pull away, she thought maybe this could be a different first kiss. The first kiss of a different love story, one they'd write together with no lost memories, no gaps in time, just 2 people choosing each other with open eyes. Yes, she whispered against his lips. Yes. 6 months later, Emma's new exhibition was called The Memory Project, Reconstructing Lost Time Through Photography. The gallery walls were lined with photographs she'd taken over the past 6 months. None of them recovered memories, all of them new moments. There were pictures of Daniel, of course. Daniel laughing at a joke. Daniel asleep with a camera manual on his chest. Daniel at Lighthouse Beach, placing flowers where they'd stood together 2 years ago. But there were also pictures of Claire, slowly rebuilding trust. Of Emma's father's empty chair at family dinner, the space where he used to sit now, just an absence. Of therapy sessions, of courtrooms, of healing. And at the center of the exhibition, in a place of honor, was the torn photograph. The two halves now sealed in resin, the tear still visible but no longer dividing the image. Daniel's arm around Emma's shoulder, both of them laughing at a sunset on a beach. Below it, a placard. The torn photograph. Some things once broken can be made whole again. Some things become more beautiful for having been broken. Daniel stood next to Emma as the gallery filled with people. He squeezed her hand and she squeezed back, a familiar gesture now, one they'd built over months of coffee dates and long walks and quiet evenings in her apartment. "Do you still wish you could remember?" Daniel asked quietly. Emma thought about it. The memories hadn't returned, probably never would. Those 8 months remained a blank space in her mind, a gap she'd learned to live with. "No," she said finally. "I don't. Because if I remembered the old us, I might not appreciate the new us. And I really, really love the new us." Daniel smiled, the same gentle smile from the photograph, but richer now with new experiences, new joy. "Me too." Claire approached, nervous as always around Daniel, but she was trying. They all were. She held out a small wrapped package. "I found this in storage," Claire said. "It's the album, the one I hid after your accident. I shouldn't have taken it, and I'm sorry. But I think you should have it now." Emma unwrapped the package. Inside was a leather photo album, worn at the edges. She opened it carefully, Daniel leaning in to look over her shoulder. The pages were filled with photographs from that lost summer. Emma and Daniel at street festivals, in coffee shops, at gallery openings. Daniel teaching Emma to cook in a tiny kitchen. Emma showing Daniel how to use a vintage film camera. Moments that had been stolen from her memory but preserved forever in these images. "Thank you," Emma said to Claire, and meant it. Her sister's eyes filled with tears. "I thought I was protecting you by hiding these, but I was wrong. You deserve to know your own story even if you couldn't remember it." "We all make mistakes," Emma said. "We're all just trying to do our best." Claire nodded, not quite smiling but close. It was progress. Slow, painful progress, but progress nonetheless. As the evening wore on, Emma found herself standing alone in front of the torn photograph again. She studied the woman in the image, the one who'd laughed so freely, who'd loved so completely, who'd had no idea what was coming. "Penny, for your thoughts?" Daniel appeared beside her, 2 glasses of wine in his hands. "I was thinking about her," Emma said, gesturing to the photograph. "The me from before. I wonder what she'd think of all this. Of us, starting over." Daniel considered this. "I think she'd be happy. She loved you, you know. The you that would exist after her." "That's a weird way to think about it. Maybe. But it's true, I remember—" He paused, checking if she wanted to hear this. Emma nodded. "I remember one night we were talking about memory and identity. You said something like, 'We're not just who we remember being. We're who we choose to be in each moment.' You said it was like photography. Each moment is its own complete image, not dependent on what came before." Emma smiled. "Smart woman." "The smartest," Daniel agreed, "and you still are." "Same person, different memories, that's all." "Different memories, but maybe not so different after all." Emma touched the photograph's frame gently. "I might not remember falling in love with you the first time, but I'm living through it now. And it feels—" She searched for the word. "Inevitable. Like no matter what version of me exists, this version of us was always going to happen." Daniel set down the wine glasses and pulled her into his arms. "You know what the best part is?" "What?" "I get to fall in love with you twice. How many people can say that?" Emma laughed, pressing her face against his chest. "When you put it that way, maybe losing those memories was a gift. A strange, terrible, beautiful gift." "Every moment is a gift," Daniel murmured. "I learned that the hard way." They stood there, wrapped in each other, while around them the gallery hummed with conversation and the click of cameras. Somewhere someone was taking a photograph of them. Emma caught the flash from the corner of her eye. Another moment preserved, another memory created. "Hey," she said, pulling back to look up at Daniel. "Want to go back to Lighthouse Beach this weekend? Take some new photos?" "To replace the old ones?" "No," Emma said. "To add to them. The old photos are part of our history, but the new ones, those are our present, our future." Daniel kissed her forehead. "I like the way you think, Morrison." "I like the way you love me, Hart. Even though you don't remember—" "Especially because I don't remember," Emma interrupted, "because it means I get to choose you every single day, not because of memory or obligation or nostalgia, but because of who you are right now in this moment." Daniel's eyes shimmered with tears. "That's the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me." "Get used to it," Emma said with a grin. "I'm just getting started." As the exhibition wound down and guests began to leave, Emma and Daniel stood together one last time before the torn photograph. Emma thought about all the questions she'd had when that mysterious envelope first arrived. Who was the man in the picture? Why couldn't she remember him? What had happened to those 8 lost months? Now she knew the answers, but more importantly, she knew that the answers didn't matter as much as what came next. The photograph would remain torn. She'd chosen to preserve it that way, to honor both the breaking and the healing. Some scars were worth keeping. Some breaks became part of the beauty. "Ready to go home?" Daniel asked. Emma took his hand, lacing their fingers together. "Yeah, let's go home." They walked out of the gallery into the warm summer night, leaving behind the fragments of the past and stepping forward into the wholeness of the present. Behind them, the torn photograph remained under its spotlight, 2 people frozen in a moment of joy, divided by circumstance but united by something stronger than memory. Love. The kind that survives loss. The kind that rebuilds itself from fragments. The kind that, given a second chance, chooses itself again and again and again. Emma looked up at the stars barely visible through the city's light pollution and smiled. She didn't need to remember the old love story to appreciate this one. In fact, maybe this version was better, clearer-eyed, more intentional, built on choice rather than just chemistry. "What are you thinking?" Daniel asked as they walked. "That I'm glad you sent me that photograph. I almost didn't. I thought maybe it would be cruel, forcing you to confront something you couldn't remember." "It wasn't cruel," Emma said. "It was brave. You gave me back my history, even knowing I might not choose you again." "And you did choose me," Daniel said wonderingly, as if still surprised by the miracle of it. "I did, I do. I will." They reached Emma's apartment, their apartment now, Daniel having moved in just last month. As Emma unlocked the door, she paused. "Daniel." "Yeah?" "If you had it to do over again, would you still fall in love with me, knowing everything that would happen?" Daniel didn't hesitate. "In a heartbeat. Every time. Forever." Emma opened the door and pulled him inside. "Good answer." Later, as they lay in bed, Emma's head on Daniel's chest, she thought about the woman in the torn photograph again. The one who'd loved so freely, the one who'd suffered so much, the one who'd lost 8 months but gained something too. A clean slate, a second chance, a love that proved itself twice. "Thank you," Emma whispered into the darkness. "For what?" Daniel's voice was sleepy, content. "For not giving up on me. On us." "Emma," he said, pulling her closer, "giving up on you was never an option. From the moment I met you, both times, you were it for me. End of story." "Not the end," Emma corrected, smiling against his skin. "The beginning." "The beginning," Daniel agreed. And somewhere in a gallery across town, under a single spotlight, a torn photograph held its vigil, proof that some things, once broken, can find their way back together. That some loves are strong enough to survive even the erasure of memory. That sometimes the best love stories are the ones we choose to write again, word by word, moment by moment, photograph by photograph. The past was gone, the future was unwritten, but the present, the beautiful, impossible, miraculous present, was theirs. And that was more than enough. If you made it this far, don't forget to leave your comment, your like, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new stories. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.